All right, fans. Hey, here we are. This is ElliJare,
JTilly.
and we are coming to you live and nationwide here in the Man Cave, brought to you specifically, veteranly by Veterans Championship Wrestling. And we are super pumped to be here today. And I tell you what, this is going to be a good episode. We did our pilot episode. Please hit us up. Tell us what you think. And let's see what's good, man.
Yeah, man. Like you said, we did the pilot episode. It was a little bit about us, a little bit of background, what got us into wrestling. I thought maybe this episode kind of talk about us a little bit more, just because not that we're self-serving and like talk about ourselves, but just so the audience knows who we are and maybe can relate. Maybe we'll say something, go, oh, yeah, I like that too, or I'm into that too, and can relate to some people out there. Do you want to start off with what you do outside of wrestling, or what your hobbies are, or I can start off? It doesn't matter to me.
Absolutely, yeah, I appreciate it. This is a great idea. So we listen to a lot of other podcasts. We listen to a lot of other radio shows, whether they're streaming Sirius XM and Spotify. But yeah, a lot of times we'll hear, some of the fans are into rock and roll music, classic cars, or whatever. So for me, I'm kind of easy. I love doing woodwork. I love to rub my wood, as they say. And absolutely love to take something and repurpose it, whether it's, a reclaimed, washed up on the beach stump, or someone's blown down fence turns into a wall unit. I love to do stuff like that. And, we just had a great meal from JTilly, just smoked some pork butts. So love to hit that up as well. Was able to do a lot of really cool stuff in the Marine Corps, and got started with woodworking just solely out of really self-preservation, because the cost of some of the retirement gifts, that's what got me started on it. So started doing that, and then my wife got me into scuba diving.
Very nice.
And being a parent, you become the team mom or the team manager or whatever they need. So I was, just by proxy, I became a big soccer fan, and I've always been a big football fan. We're sitting here watching the Bills Dolphins with 2 minutes left. I'm a big Giants fan, so Giants are getting ready to kick their game off. So, but yeah, big woodworking fan. Really love to repurpose stuff. Anything outdoors certainly is always a good time. Recently got into, thanks to Curse of Oak Island, got into metal detecting and trying to figure out where the next big dig is going to occur. So, but yeah, what about you, man? What's your jam?
Oh man, not into woodworking and stuff. Would like to.
Yeah,
you and I have talked about that.
Yeah.
Like, would love to learn. I'm kind of a homebody. Enjoy just sitting here up in the man cave, playing some video games. Also collect comic books. Read a lot of comic books. Love deep diving into some of the lore, especially with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I like to kind of compare and contrast. Look for those little hidden Easter eggs, like, ooh, they're going to be talking about so-and-so coming up. Enjoy that. By no means am I good at it, but sometimes I'm pretty, can pick up some little things here and there. Enjoy doing that. Big into just collectibles in general. As you look around, obviously the viewers can't see, but I got wrestling figures around. I got signed jerseys from Dolphin players. I like collectibles. And then Legos. I know it's silly. It's not woodworking, but I enjoy putting together Legos. It's
just as technical, I
tell
you.
Some of them are kind of crazy, but usually on a Sunday, if I'm not watching the game at a Buffalo Wild Wings or with a group of friends, I'm sitting here and I got a Lego set in front of me while I'm watching the game. Kind of keep my mind busy while I do everything. That's pretty much it. And then spending time with my girls. I got 2 girls. Love spending time with them and trying to, as a father, make up for some of that time I missed in the military. So trying to make sure. We mentioned in the pilot episode going to the live events with the AEW. Maybe we haven't mentioned this, but we are based in Jacksonville, Florida. AEW's home. Duval. What an amazing Jaguar game last night. But based in Jacksonville, so when AEW, the pandemic hit and they were using Daly's place, as soon as they lifted it and started letting fans in, I started going. It was a pretty neat experience. Brought my daughter with me to her first wrestling events. And look, see, everything comes back to wrestling.
I tell you.
Brought her to her first wrestling event. But I look at that, and I attribute a lot of AEW, and this is going to go back to what I was talking about with my girls. I attribute a lot to AEW to building that relationship with my daughter. because obviously in the military I missed birthdays, I missed, school events. We didn't get to go to live concerts. We didn't do all this other things. So getting her into AEW, and she enjoyed it so much, had a good time. So now we have that bonding thing that every time they're in town, we go. It's just really cool. That's it. I mean, nothing. I've been scuba diving. I enjoyed it. Would love to go back to scuba diving. Did it in the 98, I think I got certified. Nice. So it's been a long time. I went to the Bahamas, got certified, did it, and haven't been back since. Would love to. Would love to get my wife into it, because it was one of the most peaceful things I think I ever did, was just kind of there. Scuba diving was great. Yeah, that's it. Not very exciting. There are things I'd love to learn to do. Love to learn to work on classic cars and all that.
Man.
But my ass is getting kind of old, so probably I don't know if I have the mental capacity to learn things. I'm a firm believer in every time you put new information in, you lose some of the old stuff. But definitely want to partner up with you on some of the woodworking stuff, because I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think that would be a cool part of adding that into the Veterans Championship Wrestling family. I love designing and drafting up belts, and we've got some partners that I'm working with to draft up some belts, and eventually, hopefully, they'll hop on board and become some sponsors. So I don't want to give anything away too soon with that. But yeah, no, that's awesome. Bringing the connection, and it's funny, we bring it all back to wrestling, but the wrestling connected you, with your daughters, both of them going to events together separately. And same thing, my boys, they loved going to the live events and listening to me go play by play with the matches, and it's just, we brought our kids together when CM Punk showed up at Daly's Center.
Daly's place.
Daly's place, yeah. Thank you. Man, what a pop.
That was in the middle of the MJF feud, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. When he came up and beat him up with the dog collar match and everything. Yeah, that iconic wiping the blood on the white shirt. Yep.
Oh.
Yep, that was CM Punk's first time in Daly's place. Yeah, it was good stuff. It's definitely been one of those driving factors, and we kind of mentioned it in the last episode too. With we're talking just our love for wrestling, how it also built that relationship with me and my grandfather and me and my mom at that one point. Not that I ever had bad relationships with them, but it was a bonding point for that, which is pretty neat. Which is going to lead me into what I was going to ask next, or start talking about next, is the podcast in general. So we talked about it a little bit at the end of the last episode, and that's kind of what I want to do here. Is I want this to be a place of bonding. Now, yes, we're going to be kind of focused on wrestling. We enjoy wrestling. We both have a passion for it. We love talking about it. Love watching it. Eventually we'll start reviewing it. Maybe we'll start doing live reactions, that kind of stuff. But I also want to open it up to, if a fan reaches out and says, hey, I heard you read comics. What's your favorite comics? I can come back and say, hey, man, let's do a podcast on it, because you don't read comics.
Yeah.
So I can look at Jared and say, hey, man, read this. And then next week it's like, hey, he introduced me to these comics. These are great. And another thing neither one of us mentions, we both like all kinds of music. I don't like country as much, but we're both into hip-hop. We're both into rock.
Yeah.
So music's something, like, there are so many things that the man cave can incorporate that I think, yes, a lot of it will be focused on wrestling. That's the idea behind it. That's why we started the parent company of Veterans Championship Wrestling. But ideally, we could come in one day and have a podcast all on the NFL playoffs as we're sitting here watching it. Or, it could be a solo podcast with me one day, just throwing it out there like, hey, I just read this great series of comic books. I want to review it and talk to you guys about it. Or, we're going to go see a movie and talk about it. Whatever the case may be. And that's kind of one of the things I envision us eventually growing into. Obviously, we're going to listen to the fans too. So I want to hear what they want to hear us.
Right.
I want it to be something different. Like, everybody knows Busted Open. Most people know What Culture. Most people know the famous people who have podcasts. Kevin Nash, and Booker T, and Road Dogg, and FTR have their own now. There are all these famous people that have their podcasts, which don't care who you are, you're going to be famous. Everybody's got an agenda, so they're going to have their own agenda to push. I like the idea of us, literally two veterans on a fixed income, sitting on the side. Nobody's in the world of anything other than ourselves and our family, and having this forum to just be like, yeah, let's get on here, let's BS a little bit.
Yeah.
Who knows, maybe we'll connect to some of these people that listen to all these other shows but want something a little more casual and a little more not so like I like Busted Open. Sometimes, love you, Dave LaGreca, if you ever listen to this. Sometimes it gets a little annoying.
Yeah.
Same with the What Culture guys. Love them, but sometimes I'm like, come on, guys, like a little too negative, or you guys are a little too positive, or whatever the case may be. And we're probably going to get that too. I'm sure there's going to be conversations where like, oh, these guys are dumbasses. Like, I don't want to listen to them. And that's fine too. Everybody's entitled to their opinion.
Right.
But that's kind of where I'd like to see us starting to go. What about you?
No, yeah, 100%. I think, like what you said, where LaGreca, he operates a little bit differently depending on who his co-host is or how the caller is acting. I want to get to where, folks that are tweeting us or hitting us up on Snapchat, TikTok, they're not fearful of contacting us because they know we're not going to blow them in place, because everybody has an opinion and everybody likes wrestling for a different reason. I'm not a huge fan of the blood and gore anymore.
I love it.
I totally appreciate it. I'm a huge Matt Cardona fan. I hope he never takes another light bulb to the face, or the GCW with the pizza cutter. More power to the folks that can get in there and do that. But I love watching the matches. I love the stories, and really just watching the whole thing unfold. The pops, the reactions, the ebb and flow of the live crowd, and then depending on who we're around. I like how you were talking about, what was that one match that pops into your head when someone says, "Oh, wrestling is so dumb." That one match where you're like, tell you what, buddy, grab my phone, hop on YouTube, check this match out. And this is the match. I will tell you that you will forever appreciate wrestling for the art form that it is. So.
Yeah. Well, I think that's probably a great conversation for another podcast.
Yes,
to be honest
sir.
Because I just, as you said it, there's one that pops in my head, but then there's one that just recently happened that I'm like, man, This is another one that I can tell people just go and appreciate this. As Moxley put it, the beautiful violence. Yeah, so that being said, let's wrap this one, kind of a background on us and the other things we do and look at. But I want to plug some of the things that we where they can reach us. We didn't do that on our pilot because we're getting used to it. Also, we're recording this on our phones, so obviously as we get better, we'll get better equipment. We understand how to do things better. We'll get there. Ideally, back to what I want this to be real quick is what you're hearing, right? Is just us talking, us just having a conversation. Eventually, we'll get the email out. We'll get the Twitter out. You guys can interact with us. Maybe someday we'll go to live shows, which would be ideal. Would love to do that. But so for me, I have a Twitter handle. So No Shave Man Cave has its own Twitter handle, which is both of us. We're both on that and run it. If you want to get in touch with me specifically, mine is Scargiver_JT on Twitter. We can get into a whole other podcast on why Scargiver is the name. Has to do with D&D when I used to play. But Scargiver_JT is where you can reach me. And then, again, No Shave Man Cave for our Twitter. Jared, do you have your own Twitter?
I don't do a whole lot on Twitter outside of the No Shave Man Cave, but if you're ever fumbling around on TikTok, I'm over there on Inked and Chopped, where I have a lot of tattoos. I love chopping up wood. So Inked and Chopped is my handle on TikTok.
All right. And then email for the No Shave Man Cave, noshaveManCave@gmail.com. I will check it daily. I might get one email in 6 months, but whatever. We'll see what this does. Maybe we'll go viral and take off and be amazing. I don't know. But noshaveManCave@gmail.com and No Shave Man Cave on Twitter. If you want to get in touch with us, love to hear some feedback. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Hey, I'm ElliJare.
It's JT.
And thanks for joining us here at the No Shave Man Cave. Look forward to seeing you on the floor.